I saw her name the other day on something, and I didn't know she's even alive.
She is. She's in San Francisco, and I interviewed her not so long ago, and I told her that I was on my way out to see Roger Barrett, and she was so excited.
Oh my goodness.
And she wanted your phone number, so when you least expect it, you're going to get a call from now Elma Mickley.
Great.
But you two were involved in a unique project, and tell me the background of what Jackson, the charge he sort of gave you, and then you to Elma. With the document, the booklet, and the publication.
Well, when the British and American cases were finished, Jackson asked me to publish the documentary material because there was so much valuable material, not only what was introduced in evidence, but all that was gathered. So I took all of the material and flew to Washington and worked at the government printing office with this. You've seen this book?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And Alma worked with me. And off and on, I spent a number of months finishing the job.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a great help.
What was Jackson trying to accomplish by having you do this work here?
Oh, to preserve all this valuable historical material that had been gathered.
How long did it take to actually have the publication concluded? So, I mean, it's a massive.
Less than 6 months.
Really? Now, was there any discretion as far as, you got the translations from transcripts from the Nuremberg trial. Were there things where there were sort of any discretionary things that you had to make decisions or get Jackson's input on?
No, I think I used everything that had been translated.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So this would have been the British, the American. Were there documents, Russian documents or French documents that were part of this, or as far as the transcripts were concerned?
I know I'm looking at the numbering system, and I think that they were all British and American, and they must have been because all the documents that came up through those other countries, as the trial went on, I wasn't there.
Right. This book has been cited and quoted over and over and over again. As you reflect back on the various aspects of Roger Barrett's involvement with the Nuremberg trial, is this one of the highlights in a sense, or what were your highlights?
Listening to Jackson make his opening statement. I've never heard of anybody who's seen this book or used it or had anything to do with it.
Oh, we do.
And I've forgotten its existence, so it never played that great a role in my mind.
Did the Nuremberg trial play much of a role in your subsequent legal career?
Well, when I went in to say goodbye to Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
he gave me a photograph, beautifully dedicated and signed with writing all over it. And he said, now go back to your law firm and attach yourselves to one of the stars above you, and you'll rise up with him. When I got back, I don't think my career was enhanced one iota by the Nuremberg trial, except that I had friends all over the country that I would see as I traveled, and I think it probably helped my self-confidence. And I did what Jackson said. I started with 20 or 30 lawyers. For most of the time a good part of the time, I was head of the trial department, and I tried 50 or more cases. The firm is now 1,500 people, but people outside my career who heard one or another about my Nuremberg experience were very impressed.
Mm-hmm. As am I might add. Very impressed. You went, do you follow what's going on today in Darfur?
Not very closely.
Yeah. Do you keep in touch with any of the Nuremberg folks at all?
No.
Yeah.
I used to see Bernie Meltzer.
Right. I don't think there's many. Well, of your colleagues, Whitney Harris.
Yes.
Is in St. Louis. Bernie just passed away.
Yes.
Henry King or Ben Ferencz, they were sort of staff attorneys during the IMTs.
What's the second one?
Ben Ferencz.
No.
Okay. I'm not sure their timing. They may have come in April when Telford Taylor brought in a lot of attorneys who were going to do the subsequent trials.
Yes.
You left when? About April?
Yeah.
46?
Yeah.
Yeah. But to you, what's the legacy of the Nuremberg trial?
Well, it tells the story of what happened and pins the guilt where it belongs. That's about it.
And I've heard so many people say that the legacy of the Nuremberg trial is that it documented for all time literally the rise, the fall of the Third Reich, the Holocaust, so Holocaust deniers, and it's those documents which you had control over.
And that's what Jackson wanted to accomplish with the trial.
Yeah.
He expressed it that way.
So you are a pivotal guy. You were in the eye of that storm right from the beginning. And so thank you for sharing your time. I got to ask you one other question. I think you were at the 1936 Olympics, weren't you?
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
How did you get there? And what was your impression?
I traveled with a friend. Saw Jesse Owens.
You did?
Saw Hitler come in.
What was that like?
Oh,
Describe it.
he stood up and held out his arm like this, and everybody screamed. But his arm was like this.
Right?
And I said to my friend, do you know why he holds it like this instead of like this? My friend said no. And I said, he used to be a hod carrier, and he carried bricks in there. And one of the Germans sitting behind me beat me over the head with his hat. He could understand what I said.
Was there euphoria? Did you get a sense of the crowd?
No.
No?
No, but excitement.
What you as an American seeing Jesse Owens win, obviously, was there did you get a sense of the crowd? Were they excited about it? Were they disappointed seeing a black athlete beat an Aryan? Or just was
Don't
it just
remember
a race?
anything. Don't remember anything particular.
By the way, another person who is still alive is Ben Kaplan.
Oh, is he?
Ben Kaplan is alive. He's in Boston.
He was a professor at Harvard.
Correct.
Yes, he was one of the most brilliant.
Yeah. Went on to become a judge
Yes.
in Boston. In fact, there's a gathering at the Jackson Center and Chautauqua Institution at the end of August. I'll give you some information, where all of the chief prosecutors, current chief prosecutors from Yugoslavia, Rwanda, Cambodia, are all coming together, and Whitney and Ben and Ray Diodario, who was the Nuremberg photographer and one of the reporters of the Nuremberg trial, and maybe Roger Barrett would like to come and join us. But I'll talk about that later. But that's all. They're all gathering together, sort of a Nuremberg group and
Isn't that
a
interesting?
yeah.
How old is Ben?
Ben's gotta be his 90s.
Must be in his middle 90s.
Yeah. Whitney's 96.
Is he?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the other two guys who came in their they're in their late 80s.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in Ann Arbor who wrote for Stars and Stripes, and a couple other folks who were part of that Nuremberg scene
Yeah.
coming in. But nobody was more of the scene and more of the action than Roger Barrett. I liken you to a catcher in a baseball game because you're always in the game. Did you get that? Did you get that sense? I mean, every day that you were.
Yes, I when I started, we didn't know if there's ever even going to be a trial, whether they're going to get an agreement or what it would be. And as it went on, I didn't know I'd even be allowed into the courtroom or get a seat. So, I imagine my surprise when I had a seat every day right opposite the rostrum. Actually, well, this is the secretary and my seat is right opposite Elsie's.
No kidding. So you're the action guy. Did you get a sense of history while this was going on? When you're there, did you note that this would be something of historical significance?
Oh, yes.
By the way, what question should I be asking your dad that I haven't asked him?
Oh, when in 36, did he think that there was going to be a war in 1936 when he was at the Olympics?
Ah, good question. Did you hear that?
Did I think there was going to be war?
In 1936, when you were at the U.S. Olympics, and of course Hitler's in power, did you get a sense there might be a war?
No. I remember one of the Germans that I talked to admitted that Hitler was a little bit extreme, but he had a,
Yeah.
that's about all.
That was a great question. Any other ones? What did you think of the Nuremberg trial? Did you even appreciate what your dad
Oh,
did?
yeah, I think it was really worthwhile. And when I was in in Germany, though I held back for a long time because I thought it would be, really upsetting to them to ask or say anything, and it turned out they're eager to know about it.
Right.
So then I didn't hesitate to talk to what I knew about it and what Dad had done. Of course, practically everybody I know was the next generation, so they didn't know about it, they wanted to know. But I remember there'd be friends here, and they would, when they'd say things that showed they didn't know what had happened, Dad would, correct them, make sure they had to know all this.
Is there a lot of misimpressions of what happened at the Nuremberg trial? When you came back here and they asked you, Roger, where you been the last few years, and you said you're at the Nuremberg trial working with Justice Jackson, did many people follow it here in the United States? Was there much interest?
Yes, I think they understood it and followed it pretty closely. I remember my mother and father going to the movie theater and seeing newsreels of it and seeing me in the picture.
Oh, wow, how exciting. Did you bring much back from the trial itself for your own use? Do you have letters, diaries, souvenirs of the trial?
No, I collect manuscripts.
Ah,
And I had one,
Photographs of dead bodies.
I had one document signed by Hitler,
mm-hmm.
and that's all. One document I wanted to take was a letter from Goering to Hitler,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended by saying, when you finish reading this, destroy it. Otherwise, that Jew, Roosevelt, will use it to try us as war criminals.
No kidding.
I had a lot of documents, but a lot of copies of documents, which have all disappeared.
Have you gone back to Nuremberg at all?
No.
No. Well, you were such a pivotal part of this. And I can't thank you enough for just spending time here today.
Well, it's been very pleasant.
Yeah. And maybe if opportunity presents itself, we'd love to invite you to come join us. Try to get away. Do you travel much at all?
No.
No?
Well, I go to California for the winter.
Right?
Well, I'm glad to hear that Alma Solar and Ben Kaplan are still alive.
Yep.
What did she tell you in her interview?
Well, pretty much the working with you and working with on the documents and the logistics of what had to go on for the proofreading and
Yeah.
all the not so much the editing, but making sure we had everything. And she had some copies of some letters that were going back between you and Bill Jackson. I think Bill may have been back and forth in Elma. So it was sort of a three of you working on this project, but she's very proud of that.
Good.
Yeah. In fact, one of the things I'm telling myself, I can't believe, and I didn't bring it with me, because I've got, one of the volume one. I will send it to you to sign it and send it back, because that'd be a kind of a wonderful souvenir for the Jackson Center. Well, Roger, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome.
I appreciate this ever so much.
I enjoy reliving these memories.
Well, you created a lot of the memories for an awful lot of folks. If you hadn't sorted out and distributed and made sure those documents got in place, that was Jackson's idea of the trial, was
Yes.
the documentation. And obviously he thought extremely highly of you to place you in that very difficult but very precious position.
Yes, I don't know that I said this, but I guess one of the connections was my connection with Bill, because I was more closer to his age than a lot of the people there. And we had this wonderful trip at Christmas and went to Bethlehem on Christmas Eve and spent many hours together.
You were married at the time, weren't you?
Yes,
Did you write letters back to your wife, and were you a corresponding type person?
too busy.
Too busy?
I don't remember doing it, but
Yeah.
I'm sure I did some.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Your daughter can find out whether those letters are. Well, thank you again.